This story I remembered when my son wanted to go to camp. I wouldn't let him. I even remembered the year it happened. It was way back in 2006. Me and Vlad, Ira, Edik, and Andre decided to go camping, strangely enough, in the woods, according to tradition. We took everything that ordinary tourists should have: meat, skewers, lantern, and so on. We also had a favorite clearing. It was near the lake. We went fishing in the evening, and Andreyuka went for a wee. A few minutes later we heard the crunch of twigs. We thought that it was Andreyuka returning from a dark case. We finished the beer, and I started to shout, "Andreyuka! This joke is not funny." But nobody answered us. Then Ira got really excited, because Andreyuka is her boyfriend. As we were encouraged by alcoholic excitement, we went in search of him. Our camp suddenly lost meat. Someone ate all the banyak. I grabbed a flashlight from my tent and we went on our way. What we saw shocked us. Andreyuka's head was turned on its side. When we turned it, we found with animal fear that he was missing half of his face and skull. We also saw that there was no skin on his arms and legs and his back was ripped to shreds. We all threw up on the spot and heard the familiar crunching of twigs again. We all ran to the same tent. We cautiously peered out the mesh window of the tent and saw this something come into the camp. It wasn't a bear or a wolf, it was something tall, with the face of a pig, with something like wings, with huge hands and claws. The creature's legs were twisted, it barely moved. Edik remembered that he had taken a rifle for hunting. I had the fate to go to Edik's tent to get the rifle. In my belongings and clothes I found the shotgun. I also found 7 cartridges for it. When Edik was holding the gun, he said, "Good, we have the gun, it moves slowly, we will have time to escape and maybe kill this thing." We all stepped cautiously out of the tent and heard some kind of moaning, a rough and hoarse groan. The creature saw us and suddenly started moving fast in our direction. Edik was shooting like a madman. He fired all his cartridges at the creature. We approached the creature. It didn't move or breathe. It was dead. We were relieved, but not for long. We heard a siren wail. It was the police. We ran to the sound. We were taken to the local police station. The officer said that because of drinking alcoholic beverages and illegal possession of weapons we would all be sued and put in jail for 6 years. We were glad that at least we were not torn to shreds like Andreyuka. We were released in July 2012. I forgot about this story, met a girl, and in 2013 I had a son. Since then I can't stand talking about camps and hiking. When I was in my early 20s, a couple friends and I decided to go camping on a lake. It was a 3 to 4 hour hike, and the nearest house was maybe 3 hours away. We took some homemade wine with us, drank it all night and ate undercooked sausages. Life was beautiful. We had one tent for everyone, so it was pretty darn cramped, but we all fell asleep around 2 a.m. At 4, I wake up because I feel someone running their hand over my forearm. Not that it was anything incredible, because in a crowded tent there was nowhere to turn around and someone could have hit me. But it was a hand on the side of the tent. So I'm being touched by someone on the outside of the tent. I sit up and am instantly horrified because I see all my friends sleeping soundly next to me. I tune into my lowest voice and scream, "Get out." And then a man's low voice answers me, "Pack your things and leave," without threat or aggression. Just calm and somehow deadpan. By now all my friends are waking up and just staring at me. No words, just terror in their eyes. I say, "Okay, we'll pack up, but you need to leave. Hurry up." When we got out of the tent, this man, who happened to be freaking huge, took a little paddle boat that was lying on the shore, got in it and just sat like that in the middle of the lake and watched us pack up and try to get out of here as fast as we could. We had to walk along the lake to get away, and the whole time he just sat there and watched us. We never went back there again. I love hiking, getting together with friends and going far away from civilization to breathe clean air, admire beautiful landscapes and once again experience the feeling of my own insignificance before the majestic nature. The route of that hike was through the mountainous forests. We were walking along a narrow path and, after passing another of its steep bends, we saw a big rock. I decided to climb it to take a couple of beautiful photos for my collection. Clinging to the mossy rocks, I started climbing up. After a couple minutes I reached a small ledge a little away from where I had started my climb and where my friends were waiting for me. Because of this, and because of the dense mass of trees, we lost sight of each other. but we were within earshot and occasionally chimed in. I started taking pictures. At some point my foot stepped on a rock covered with moss and slipped. A second, and I flew down. A small patch of ground flashed before my eyes and, having time to spring with my hand, I still hit my head. I lost consciousness. What happened to me next, I do not know. I remember that I was able to open my eyes and saw someone's transparent silhouette in front of me. He was leaning over me, and I could feel his touch on my head. Then my eyes went blurry again, and I collapsed. I came to my senses when my friends woke me up. They told me that when I stopped responding to their cries, they went looking for me and found me a few minutes later with a bandaged head and a wound on my arm. Under my head was my backpack and next to it my open first aid kit. My friends swear they didn't touch me and found me in this condition. Who helped me? What was that silhouette next to me? Friends assumed that being in a state of shock, I bandaged my head and treated my arm myself, and then lost consciousness and forgot about it. That may be true, but I'm not entirely sure. The transparent silhouette doesn't seem to be coming out of my head, it seems familiar, native. This terrible horror story happened to me 5 years ago. I was 19 years old at the time. My two best friends and I decided to go hunting. We went to the taiga, where you don't meet many hunters, and for us the area was very familiar. When we arrived at the place, we spent the whole day preparing for the hunt. By evening, having built a fire, we started to have dinner and some drinks. After about 3 hours, we fell asleep. I suddenly woke up late in the night. My head was splitting, I looked at the clock, it was 3:30. I wanted to go to the toilet, so I went to the bushes. Suddenly, not far from me, I heard a crunch, from some movement. As it seemed to me, it was something big and it was approaching me. The hops immediately disappeared from my head, it must be a bear, I thought, and raised my carbine, which was hanging behind my back. But then, some incredibly fast and huge creature flew straight at me and threw me aside with a strong blow, after which I passed out for a while. When I woke up, I felt a strong pain in the chest area, apparently a couple of ribs had been broken. I got up through the pain and walked towards our camp. As I got closer I saw a horrifying picture, one of my friends was lying dead. He had no head, apparently it had been torn off by this horrible creature. My other friend was clutched with a clawed paw by the same monster. This monster was about 4 meters in height, the torso was covered with huge muscles. But what was striking was its very large paws. In a second there was a terrible crunch and the body of my second comrade collapsed in the paw of the horrible monster. I took aim with the carbine and opened fire, the monster shuddered, turned around and rushed in my direction. I was aiming single shots directly at it. The monster, having received 2 bullets in the head, howled and rushed away, hiding behind the trees. 2 hours later I got to my car and drove to a place with cell phone service. After a while, help came. But the worst part was that the bodies of my friends were gone, only a few bloody spots remained. No one believed my story, you see. I myself was suspected, a criminal case was opened, which ended in nothing. After the incident, I never went hunting or fishing again and began to believe in what I had been laughing at all my life.